Um, it's always interesting taking time to reflect, and I love this question for that reason. I was born into a normal family from Wales, and from an early age, I've always had very vivid memories, even from the age of 1. And I always felt a little bit different from everybody, but couldn't put my finger on it. And I think with that feeling of feeling different, always being just outside the circle, just the last one to get the jokes or the last one to really sort of connect and always feel a little bit outside of society, I made it my mission, albeit unconsciously, to fit in, to do my best to conform, to make my parents happy, to please other people. And so I always was the good girl. I followed the rules. I went to school, got good grades, and did pretty much what my parents expected of me and also what society did. So I graduated with a double master's in engineering from France, a French and English university, because that would make my parents happy. And it would be able to allow me to get a safe and secure job, because that's what's expected of us, right? Yet in my heart, I always knew it wasn't truly me. So once I graduated from university, I took a year off and went traveling the world. And that's when I really connected to what makes my heart sing. It's being able to get, my shoes and socks off and run in the forest when I want to. It's being able to wake up before dawn and go to sleep at lunchtime, to follow my natural body rhythms, and also to connect with environments and communities that I haven't been exposed to, and cultures that I never knew existed. That was in Latin America, in remote villages where they barely spoke Spanish, let alone English. And it ignited a passion in me of service. I discovered, luckily, in those moments that I love serving others. That's what I'm here on this planet to do. And I helped little communities set up micro businesses to support themselves. Yet at the end of the year, I felt I was drawn back to conforming. The expectation of returning to that tick list of society was weighing down on me. And that's exactly what I started to do. I went home, I got a job, tick, bought a house, tick, started dating a guy who was marriage potential, tick, and kept ticking, working my way down the list, pushing further and further away that I'd actually given up on myself. I emigrated to Australia with my then boyfriend. We bought some businesses, and I started to live to satisfy him and his purpose. Because I didn't know what I wanted, I followed someone who had a stronger purpose than myself, even though it wasn't mine. And fast forward 9 years, it was quite a toxic relationship. There was quite a lot of physical and mental abuse directed to me. And by chance or by luck, he left me 6 days before my wedding, which may seem like the worst thing to happen to somebody. Yet for me, it was the greatest freedom I could have ever wished for, because I didn't have this power in myself to say no. I couldn't have the confidence to be able to break free from something that outside looked very healthy. And so in that moment, that's when I decided to start living for myself uncompromisably, to start putting myself first, to not see it as selfish, but actually centering myself. By me being the strongest, sorry for the pun, strongest person I could be for me, the most authentic me, I was able to then spiral out and support yet more people. Because before, I was just living a life of lies. I'd always be perfect, I'd always be happy, I would never show any chinks or pain in my life, for fear that I would be called out and the world that I'd built up so precariously would come crumbling down. And from those ashes, because it was now crumbled, I could redesign my life. I could choose my path and my journeys. And I just sat down one day and said, what have I always wanted to do that I gave up on because of other people? And the word triathlon came to my mind. I'd heard about this long distance triathlon thing years ago, 10 years ago, on top of a mountain, on top of a volcano. And I gave up on it because of other people. And I said, today is the youngest I'll ever be. And so now is the time to start feeding my dreams, not making excuses to give up on them. And that's when I started to run, swim, and cycle. And I also unleashed my potential, which was, we far too often in our lives say, I want to run a marathon. And then we say, oh yes, but I don't have the time, and our logic clicks in, our brain clicks in with all the reasons why we shouldn't even try. And so we then run a half marathon and we think it's good enough. But our heart didn't want a half, it wanted a full. So when I said I wanted to do an Ironman, I said, well, I don't know what my potential is, and I'm not going to put my glass ceiling again on my potential. I've been doing that far too often. So in order to awaken myself, in order to be my best and satisfy my inner being, my purpose, I have to aim for number one. It would be a disservice of myself not to. And that's what I did. And with a hell of a lot of hard work behind that, the action behind my intention, I did achieve to be number one in the world. And since then, I have followed my intuition. I call it the pendulum. The pendulum swings from the light, purpose-driven to the dark, obligation-driven. My pendulum does swing between the two. It's not that it's always static. My life is very fluid. Yet I catch myself quicker when I'm doing things out of logic and obligation, so I can then get closer to the center and find more balance and be more authentically me. So now I'm blessed that I live in Britain. I live a very open and honest life. I help others unlock their own potential, and I work with businesses to do the same within their organizations as well.